How are you guys? I'm a blogger, and I am passionate about urbanism and making Los Angeles into a more walkable and pedestrian-oriented city. About 5 years ago, I started my blog because I just couldn't take it anymore. I just had to share with the world LA's biggest secret. But before I begin, can I get a show of hands? How many of you have flown into Los Angeles before? Into LAX? Whoa, pretty much all of you. Well, obviously, I've flown into LAX before as a lifelong resident. And like many of you here, you probably have a preference of where you like to sit on the plane. For me, it's the window seat. For a lot of you out here, it's probably the aisle. And I'm sure none of you like to sit in the middle seat, right? It's always way too cramped. So why do I like to sit by the window seat? Well, I'm a city lover. I love to stare outside of the window and view the city below me when I'm landing. But I have a weird preference when it comes to flying into LAX. I have to sit on the right side of the plane, not the left, but the right. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a second. So, as I'm flying into Los Angeles, there's a lot of thoughts that go on through my mind. First and foremost, environmental disaster. As I'm staring outside of the window, I see endless freeways and strip malls and thousands of single-family homes strewn across the landscape in this suburban sprawl. And I can't help but feel disappointed that Los Angeles is a car-oriented society, a resource hog, powered by oil. But about 5 minutes before landing at LAX, there is something that pops up on the right side of the plane that you can see through the window that I think represents the hope and the future of Los Angeles, and that's downtown LA. Let me tell you a little story. I used to be a relocation services consultant, and one of my clients was a Japanese lady from Tokyo who was moving to LA. So my job was to show her around and get her familiarized with the city. So we're driving down Wilshire Boulevard, and we're passing by Rodeo Drive and the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. And I'm just beaming with pride, explaining to her that Wilshire Boulevard is the commercial spine of LA. And I'm trying to elicit a response from her because she's been so quiet this whole time. So I ask her, "What do you think of LA?" And she turns to me and says something that I think represents what most people think when they visit Los Angeles for the first time. She said, "Where are all the people?" Where are all the people? That hit close to home for me because I realized then that Los Angeles was a car-oriented society and not the walkable urban one that I wanted it to be. I grew up in Monterey Park, a Chinese-American suburban community about 10 miles east of downtown LA. When I was growing up here, I was never exposed to urbanism. Downtown LA was dead. It was irrelevant. It was the place you drove past on the 10 freeway on your way to the west side. Essentially, downtown LA was just a backdrop for Hollywood. So it wasn't until I went to school up in the Bay Area that I got my very first taste of urbanism. I went to college at Berkeley, and I would take the BART into the city. And I soon realized that there were differences between San Francisco and Los Angeles. In San Francisco, people walked. Areas like Union Square, the Embarcadero, Market Street, they were all teeming with life. And people actually took public transportation. But it wasn't until I went to New York City for the first time as an adult that I really fell in love with urbanism, a city that still inspires me to this day. In 2003, I went to New York City because I got a free airline ticket on Southwest Airlines. Southwest was, at that time, they didn't fly into the regional airports like JFK or LaGuardia. So I had to fly all the way out into Islip, Long Island, about an hour outside of Manhattan via Long Island Railroad. So as I'm getting on the train, I'm just filled with excitement and anticipation. And as we start finally pulling into Penn Station, I grab my luggage and I start walking into the middle of this frenetic train station. I got chills down my spine immediately. It was magical. There were people walking everywhere, to and fro. I walked out into the middle of Herald Square, and I was surrounded by skyscrapers. I was electrified by the energy of Manhattan. There were the taxi cabs, and just people walking everywhere. Something so different from where I came from in LA, where nobody walked. I fell in love with urbanism. So I returned to Los Angeles. I was trying to find that walkable experience, like trying to find the New York City or San Francisco of Los Angeles. As a pedestrian, I felt like a fish out of water, flailing. But even so, I found myself drawn to downtown LA. So on a warm summer night in 2004, I drove my car to the corner of 7th and Grand, in the middle of downtown LA. I parked my car, I got out, and I stood there at the corner, and I stared out into the buildings. It was abandoned. It was empty. There were no people. There were no stores. But I thought downtown LA was still so beautiful to me because I felt it had the bones of a great urban center. It had the skyscrapers and lots of beautiful historic buildings. And it had that expansive grid, that commercial grid, that reminded me so much of New York City. And as I stood there at the corner, little did I know that in a decade, downtown LA would be well on its way to becoming that great urban center I had always dreamed of. Today, downtown LA is unrecognizable. Why? Because it's no longer just the place for 9-to-5 office workers. Downtown is a place where now people call it home. In fact, since 1999, downtown LA's population has almost tripled to about 60,000 residents, and that number is projected to grow to about 75,000 in about 5 years. This is Metropolis. It's one of the largest mixed-use projects under construction on the West Coast, being built by the Staples Center and LA Live. When completed, it'll have 4 towers, over 1,500 luxury condominiums, 70,000 square feet of retail, and a brand new Indigo hotel. Adding housing to the picture brings in the permanent residents that will attract new life and new businesses to downtown LA. Prominent retailers that we thought were once impossible to lure to downtown LA are now setting up shop, giving the phrase shopping in the city meaning again in Los Angeles. And hotels. More and more hotels are opening up in downtown LA, giving visitors to Los Angeles a central location to stay with convenient and easy access to our growing public transportation system. In fact, by this time next year, the Expo line will be completed, connecting downtown Los Angeles with Santa Monica, giving people access to the beach without having to drive their car. So, I want to show you guys a few examples of what I think represents the new face of downtown LA. This is Grand Park, a 12-acre park completed in 2012 in our Civic Center that's straddled by LA City Hall and the Music Center. It's become a gathering spot for Angelenos far and wide in a city starved of great public spaces. This is Grand Central Market at 3rd and Broadway, a historic food hall that's been operating continuously since 1917. It's gone through its ups and downs, and it was almost completely forgotten at one point. But now it's come back stronger than ever. And it's now a culinary hub of some of America's best chefs, with now almost 40 food vendors putting downtown LA on the foodie map. This is Wilshire Grand, a 73-story skyscraper under construction in downtown LA's financial district that'll become the new tallest building west of Chicago. When completed, it'll have office space, a brand new 4-star, 900-room intercontinental hotel, and plenty of ground floor retail. So, what does this mean for the future of Los Angeles? Well, quite simply, we're just going back to the way it used to be. Downtown LA used to be the undisputed walkable center for this entire region before suburbanization sucked the life out of it post-World War II. Downtown LA is just once again becoming the largest walkable urban island in a sea of suburbia. And urban revitalization is redefining what it means to be an Angeleno. As a blogger, I've had the privilege of chronicling these amazing and exciting events happening in downtown LA. It's been an outlet for my passion and my advocacy for a more walkable and sustainable Los Angeles. An idea I think worth spreading. But not only do I like to blog, I sometimes like to give walking tours of downtown LA. Why? Because I love to see people's facial expressions when I shatter their preconceived notions that there's nowhere you can truly walk in LA. So I invite you to come and see and experience the future of Los Angeles for yourself. But leave that car parked at home, put on those comfortable walking shoes, and come walk with me. I dare you. Thank you.